Hello again, everybody. Um, Today, I just thought I'd talk about two questions which I see asked a lot. The first of those is about moving your ants from one test tube to another. How do I get my ants to move from one test tube to another? And the second question, which I see a lot, is about black mold. Is black mold dangerous for my ants? What should I do? I made a video on the 24th of April where I said that the cotton in my Lasius Flavus 2 queen colony was getting very black with black mold. And the second thing I said was that their water had nearly gone. So what I did was I connected them to a Wakushi four-way connector with a little slidey compartment on there as well, which I could use as an outworld, and a new water test tube on the other side of the four-way connector. And I said I'm going to let them move themselves over when they're ready. Because Lasius are notoriously stubborn. Shining lights on them, forget about it. The internet might tell you to do that. It does nothing where Lasius are concerned. I've had one half of these exposed to sunlight, exposed to daylight, and they've stayed in that dirty old test tube. I even made a video where I said they were refusing to move. And that is why I like the Wakushi four-way connectors to do this rather than taping two tubes together. And that is because it has taken them 75 days. I've counted the days. They finally moved last night. They've moved everything across to the new test tube. 75 days it took them. And the problem with taping two test tubes together is air. I mean, yes, you can make little pinpricks in the tape and slightly separate the test tubes just a crack and put some little pinpricks in. But then how do you put in food? How do you put in new sugars or anything? You're going to have to cut the test tubes apart every time to do that if you're going to be waiting 75 days. So that's why I love Wakushi four-ways. It gives me that flexibility. It's got air holes in the top. And like I said, I can put this little slidey thing on to act as an outworld while I'm waiting. So one of the things that I wanted them to move, as well as the fact that the old test tube was manky as anything, was that they were in one of my big glass test tubes, and the alternative I've offered them is a Wakushi plastic test tube, which then allowed me to put that test tube into Wakushi Venus nest, which is what I've done. So I've never used a Venus nest before. Everyone says they're really good. And yes, because I don't want to have this problem again with 3 test tubes worth of water, it means I'm not going to have this problem because I'll be able to just swap the different test tubes as they run out of water. So I've got them in a Venus nest, absolutely fantastic. And finally, I can look at the colony and see what sort of state they're in, see how they're doing. Both queens are still there. I mean, sitting on top of each other here, and there's no aggression towards either of them at the moment. You can see that when they've moved, they've taken both queens with them, haven't left sort of one behind all on her own or anything. Plenty of brood. And I tried to count them. There's somewhere, I think, between 30 and 40. So even with 2 queens, Flavus are just so slow to grow. They really take ages, and they barely come out into the outworld. They barely do anything. And that's why I don't advise Flavus for new ant keepers. Yes, they're a beautiful, pretty looking yellow ant that looks really nice when I'm filming them. But to watch them getting up to stuff and doing things and growing and everything, it's just nothing happens with them. In fact, if you do want to keep Flavus, what I would recommend is have a Lasius niger colony to be your colony that you watch, like I do, and then you can just practically ignore the Flavus, and they hardly eat, they hardly need any care. You can just stick them somewhere and almost ignore them. Don't ignore them too long, otherwise they might die. But anyway, they're doing well. I've got them into the Wakushi Venus, so there's their new home, all sorted. I'm really pleased. But yeah, don't expect Lasius to move very quickly. They are stubborn as anything and take forever. And don't worry about black mold. It's not really that dangerous at all. The only thing it does is it takes all the water eventually, and it will mean that the ants can't get any. But it's not going to actually kill the ants. It's just going to deprive them of water. So panicking about black mold is not something that you need to panic about. Thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye.